Who am I? The girls them sugar.
Let's see. Charlamagne, we live?
Who am I? The girls them sugar.
Man, what's good, man? What's up? What's up?
What's going on, bro? Welcome everybody to the Who Am I podcast.
Come on and have a seat.
Go on now, make yourself comfortable now.
Make yourself comfortable, bro. What's up with you, bro?
Man, we out here, bro. Living, just being functionally fat, in the gym, but still can't control my diet.
Doing the best that we can out here. We doing the best that we can out here, bro. But I had trouble listening to the Juice WRLD album though. I don't think I finished it.
Yeah, I never was a Juice WRLD fan, so like I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I was just because
It was sad though.
That's why I never really got into it.
Yeah,
even
that
when he
shit
was
was
alive.
Sad. Like I was expecting like some type of, and there was a few, but I was expecting some type of like eventually to come up beat, but all of it was just sad.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I know how people listen to it. That's what they're going through. But if I'm sad in real life, last thing I want to do is go listen to some music that make me sad too.
Oh, I can't agree, man. Kid Cudi got me through some dark times. Like this weekend, bro, I was going through something, man. I put on some Kid Cudi, bro. It just let me know that I wasn't alone out here. So I get it, you know what I mean? I get it, but it's just,
I can understand it. Yeah,
that's not my sad.
Nah, it's not. I don't want to go that level of sad. I'm cool on that level of sad. But let's get into some singles, though, man. Let's get into some singles.
All right, well, you coming in hot, ain't you?
You want to start? Are you want me to go?
I would just say, you coming in hot, brother. I don't know.
All right, so let's get it then. Let's get it going. I got Tory Lanez, the VVS capsule. He came out with a song called 392 with VV Dollar Ken, and then Staccato, I'm pretty sure is what it's called. Both of these songs are really good. I really like the 392 a little bit more. It's kind of like, it just got a bop to it. You play it in the rib, play it at the gym, something like that. You just got a bop to it. The Staccato. I'll leave it up to y'all, but something like you might want to listen to. You might like it. I don't know if you heard it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so something that you might like to tune into, something a little bit different from Tory Lanez usually do. So both of these songs, again, they're a little bit different than what I really was expecting from Tory Lanez. But again, I'm just happy that he's still dropping music just so consistently. It's just good to see him out here. I gave him my fellow positivity shout out, man. So came out with some music. I appreciate the music, and shit, we're gonna keep rocking.
Yeah, it's dope because he's independent now. So now he could just do what he want to do, move on his own time. You know what I'm saying?
Us too, man. Yeah, independent.
Right, get your ugly ass. So I'm gonna go with some hip hop, and then I'm going to the R&B. So the first one I wanted to highlight, Benny the Butcher, Deal or No Deal. Great song, just straight bars, exactly what you expect out of Benny the Butcher. I'm excited for his project. I think that his Black Soprano label is coming out with a Gangsta Grills project at the end of the month. So this was kind of the first iteration or the first kind of single off of that, I suspect. But it's exactly what you expect out of any member of Griselda, but especially Benny the Butcher. A real dark beat, bar after bar after bar after bar. I just can't go wrong with a Benny the Butcher song, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. Shit, I got a Snow Allegra, man, coming back again, bro. Snow Allegra, bro. She never stops coming, bro. She know what to do with it, bro. Dying for Your Love, man. Snow Allegra. I don't even really got to say much about it, man. Shit is good. Shit's a great song, bro. I fucking like it. I just don't care nothing else about it. It's just good. It's just I like to listen to it. I like to listen to her, period. So I'm a big fan of her. So if you haven't heard anything from Snow Allegra, then this might be a good place to start. But R&B strikes again, bro. R&B just strikes again, bro. We're going to get into it with albums too, but it just don't matter what week it is. Just feel like we come out here and just R&B is just striking again. So here we are with another single.
Yeah. I love Snow Allegra, man. She was, I think I gave her my number one album last year, so I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Some R&B that I found this weekend. It came out, I think, a couple weeks ago, but I just found it this weekend. It's an artist by the name of Loner. So he had a song on his album earlier this year that featured her called Make the Most, but he actually just re-recorded a live version of that song, and I just think it's amazing. Like I found it just on a R&B playlist, and I just kept running it back. I'm like, damn, bro, I love this song. Like, this is amazing. And it wasn't until after I heard this that I went to look into it, and I realized the original version had her on it. But I just think with this version of the song, it's just raw. It's like an acoustic version of it. It's just amazing, man. So that's Loner, Make the Most, in the live version of that. Great song.
That's what's up, man. Would you say it was Pulchritudinous?
You got any more singles? Because I got another side. Because I'm not doing this with you, bro. Your goddamn thesaurus head ass.
All right, I don't got any more singles. I got. Well, no. I'm tripping. I got The Adventures of Moon Man and Slim Shady. I'm sure you heard that. That's your man.
Come on, bro.
So, I ain't got really much to say about the Kid Cudi part. It was very short compared to what it was really an Eminem song more than anything. Like it was a Kid Cudi song, but it was Eminem lashed out. Eminem lashed out on there. So Kid Cudi came in with a little minute verse, and the whole rest of the song, the whole rest of pretty much 3 minutes of it was Eminem. Eminem came, he lashed out. He lashed out. I don't know what made him lash out, but he talked about pretty much everything that's going on in America, including the coronavirus, any type of race relations you could think of. He just lashed out, bro. But this is the thing, this is the thing with Eminem that be getting me though, because we like Eminem. Like we don't have any ill will towards Eminem. What I have towards anybody, anything, any situation you could think of, it's just like, imagine if you just going to take out the trash and then somebody walk up to you and be like, "Hey, take out that trash." You'd be like, "Motherfucker, I was already going to take out the trash. Like, stop telling me why." Like, that's why I feel like Eminem has been doing the last 2 hours, like telling us why he's great and why we should like him, bro. I don't need any more reasons, Eminem. I like you already. So to stop telling me about how much I'm supposed to like you and for what reason I'm supposed to, and for what reason you're supposed to be the great and things of that nature. I already understand all that. I already like you. Stop telling me what I'm supposed to be liking. Because then that make me like, hold on, bro. Nah, fuck that trash. I'm not taking that shit out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I'm not taking the trash out. Now you telling me I was already about to do it. Now it's fucked up. Like, so that's kind of how I feel like with Eminem. It's just like, when he just like raps and does his thing, I'm cool with that. That's what I want from Eminem. When Eminem is rapping at me and yelling at me about how much he's good of a rapper he is and how much what this reason is and that reason is why I should like him, that's when I get a little like, yeah, but we already knew that. You know what I mean? You can throw a song or two of that in, right? Like Jay-Z and Drake and people of that ilk, they do that, right? They throw in why they so great. When you're making whole albums about it back to back like that, it's going a little too far.
Nah. I feel you. This is actually the single that I was gonna bring up. I think I really like the song, like overall.
Oh yeah,
I like it. I'm happy that Kid Cudi is getting these type of looks, because Kid Cudi for so long has just been so, like, his cult fan base knows about all his albums, they know about it, but unless you're talking about like Pursuit of Happiness or you're talking about his earlier stuff, like nobody really checking for Kid Cudi like that unless you in his dominant fan base. So I'm glad with the success of the song he had with Travis Scott, hopefully the success of this single, that Kid Cudi is getting a big look. So I'm happy as a Kid Cudi fan that he getting that look. I think that although he was out-rapped by Eminem, like 99% of people on the song with Eminem are going to get out-rapped, so I'm not really mad at him for that. I think he did step his bars up for this song. Like, typically when Kid Cudi is making a song, like, it's not really as technical as he was on this song, however brief. But like you said, Eminem addressed a lot of things. Like, he threw some shots at Drew Brees. He threw some shots at people not wanting to wear a mask. He said, "Rest in peace to George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery." Like, just very, very on time with his verse. So I really like this. Really like this song.
And I don't typically like coronavirus bars. Like,
Yeah.
I really don't. Like, there's not a lot of good ones when you like Future has some on his album. There's a few people that had some on the album recently. I really just don't like coronavirus bars, but he was talking shit though. He made it sound good. Leave it up to Eminem to make it sound good.
The wordplay is crazy. Now I'm in the casket because you coughing. Dr.
Marco. Yo, yeah, nah.
What the hell?
Dog. Can Eminem be the GOAT?
Can he?
Yeah. Is it already over? That discussion. I think we both agree that Jay-Z is the GOAT, but can Eminem be the GOAT?
I think he could be the best rapper of all time, but I don't think he could be the GOAT, because being the GOAT just encompasses too much. I don't think his impact outside of rap is as extensive as a Drake or as a Jay-Z.
Fair enough.
but I think he could be the greatest rapper of all time. Absolutely.
Or Wayne could be, but
You got albums?
yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get it. Let's get into how many albums you got first?
I just got one.
Okay, so I'll go into an EP really, but it's Life on Earth by Summer Walker. Did you hear that?
Mhm.
So Life on Earth by Summer Walker is only 16 minutes, 5 songs, but it's a good follow up to what she actually released her actual album like last year. So I can appreciate it for what it is. It is really good. Like it sounds good. Like it's a really good 5 songs. If I had to put it up against another EP of this year, that'd be Giveon, which I would say Giveon probably edge her out in this one because they're both, like 5 or 6 songs, very short EPs. But it is really good. I would recommend that you listen to it. White Tea for me really stood out. My Affection to me really stood out with Party Next Door. Although Party Next Door is he's getting a little bit more iffy than usual for me. I don't know if I didn't appreciate the verse as much as I usually do with him, but it still kind of stood out to me. So it's a couple of songs that y'all want to listen to. 5 songs again, it's only 16 minutes. So Last Life on Earth by Summer Walker. But again, R&B strikes again, bro.
Yeah.
R&B strikes again.
It's hard coming off a classic, and I
Yeah.
think this is a good strategy to just like, all right, I'm gonna put something out there, so it's like you can't say I fell off or whatever, but it's like the EP is just something. So Summer Walker is like furthering, like cementing her spot in the game right now.
Oh yeah.
My one album that I wanted to highlight is not even really a new album. It's just a deluxe version of an album, but I just can't remember if I actually gave it the proper respect when it first came out. But Boldy James, The Price of Tea in China, he released a deluxe version of that album. And personally, I've been thinking about it. This is my favorite album of 2020. As far as hip hop, this is concise, the best album for me, top to bottom. Uh, I really don't think that the bonus tracks were needed. I think that from start to finish of the original version was phenomenal. Like it had great features from I think Vince Staples came through and gave one of his best verses of his whole career on this album. He had a verse from Freddie Gibbs and throwing a shot at T.I. So I do think I covered it, but just for this to be back in the algorithm, this to be back on the front page of like your Spotify's, your Apple Music's, I think that people should give this one a second listen if you haven't already. The Price of Tea in China by Boldy James, especially coming off of the year he had like with this album and then being featured on 2 of West Side Gun's projects, just coming through with phenomenal verses. I think that if he can get the proper recognition stepping into that lane with the Griseldas, with the production of Alchemist, he can be a problem going forward in the future. So Boldy James, The Price of Tea in China, phenomenal album.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, shit, let's finish it off with the kind of the biggest release that we had this week, which is Legends Never Die by Juice WRLD. We talked about it briefly just a second ago, but what's your initial thoughts on the album?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really listen to it. I'm not a Juice WRLD fan. I never was. I think his situation is unfortunate, but just the overall tone of his music just didn't leave me with a good vibe. You know what I mean? Like typically when I get sad, I listen to Kid Cudi. But even in Kid Cudi's like depressing music, it's always a redeeming, like, all right, you can get through this. Like one of his songs is called Love, right? And he talk about like, don't be sad, you know what I mean? Everybody go through this and whatever, but he's talking you through the sadness, but then he's giving you like a light at the end of the tunnel. Where I think some of the new age artists is just dwelling in that sadness and it just leave you with that little pit, like, oh, I just feel dark right now. I feel like my frequency is real low. So I've never really been a fan of his. I think he's talented. I think some of the hits were well deserved during his career, but I'm just not a big fan of his music, to be honest.
Yeah, I got the same criticism. Like I said, it's too sad for me. It's a little bit too down. Like I listened to it and I kept the problem I had with it was I kept going expecting that like redeeming quality that you said, like that's in like a Kid Cudi song or something like that, and it just kind of never came. It just kind of like it was just never there. Like it just continued to get sadder and sadder. And I'm okay with. I think we talk about it even when we discuss like our race relations. Like we always talk about like getting to a solution to that, even though it's an unfortunate like event. Like we always talk about trying to get to a better ending than what we actually had. And it just felt like we never got there with Juice WRLD music, which is fine. And again, I'm just like you. I've never been a fan. I never really was a fan, which is fine. You know, I'm just not gonna fake it now. I'm not gonna act like I was. I'm not gonna act like I was the biggest Juice WRLD fan just because he passed away. That's not. That'd be fake of me, and that would, you know, it would dilute his actual fan base. So I'm sure a lot of people are doing that. That's kind of what happens when people die. Like people are like, "Oh, I was the biggest Mac Miller fan. Oh, I was the biggest this and that fan." Like when in reality you had none of that on your phone. So I'm just gonna be honest with what I am. I was never a fan. I never listened to it. I never really listened to Pop Smoke. I just think Pop Smoke album is great. I just think it's great. So the only problem with that is that unfortunately that we're just as what we do on this podcast, we gonna have to make those type of comparisons at some point because they're so similar in the situations and that we have to, they came out so close together that I have to think about like comparing them, and I give it to Pop Smoke. You know what I mean? That's just kind of where I'm at. But not saying that anything's wrong with Juice WRLD. I'm sure for his fan base, they're probably happy with what he released. So with his fan base, like I applaud y'all. So, but for me, it just wasn't really for me. Yeah.
Indubitably. Can you say it now?
Indubitably.
All right. Man, let's get it. You want to know another big word that people don't understand either?
Talk to him.
Entanglement. Entanglement, bro. What the fuck is
It's the word of 2020, bro. That is the word of 2020.
Oh, easily, bro. That's 2020 in general. Like, what have we been doing to it? We've been in an entanglement, bro. So, I guess this is more of a follow up for last week. Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith, they came to the red table, took themselves to the red table, and went ahead and released a bunch. Kind of did a tell all. It was only about 12 minutes, but apparently it was the most viewed Facebook video of all time. It broke all type of records and things of that nature. So kudos to them for that, and for good reason too. It was actually a good. If you watch the whole thing instead of just clips, it'd have been funnier if you just seen memes or something like that. But if you watch the whole thing, it was actually kind of cool to actually see. But basically within that, Jada Pinkett Smith actually admitted to being into a relationship with August, and they went forward and kind of just talked about it. And then to me, it seemed like Jada said that she was technically helping him, mentally. The family was helping him mentally and things like that. They were already separated. It was between Jada and Will. They already decided to separate, and they were going their different ways. They thought they might be divorced, for real, and they ended up getting back together, which is cool. That's kind of what happens in relationships sometimes. But she did actually, the big actual news that she did admit to actually being in a relationship with August. I got my own kind of views on that, but I'll let you go first. What kind of over the red table talk? What'd you bring out of that?
Two things. I think one, I respect her for just being real about it. You know, obviously we don't know. They started off with saying this is our business, and somehow Black Twitter decided to make it their business. So we really won't know the whole story, and I really, that's up to them. So for them to reveal that much about the situation, I kind of do respect that. I think that a lot of people are saying she cheated, but if you like you said, if you watch the whole thing, she did say that they were on a break. Will Smith said "Hey, I was done with your ass. I told you to get up out of here." So I don't consider it her cheating because they were apart, and then she decided to get into a relationship with August. But then once she realized that she wanted to mend things with Will, that's when the problem started. And she said they haven't spoken in years. So I don't really look at it as her cheating, but I do kind of understand Will being mad because of how messy the situation got. Because it seems like once she said that she was getting back with Will, just communication stopped, and she said he just completely cut me off, which she understands, and she hasn't spoken to him in years. So for them to be in such a messy situation and not clean that up before it hit the public, I think that's where I would put more blame onto her. You know what I mean? Ultimately, August did he was out here dry snitching. So it's it's much blame to go around for this becoming so messy. But I think that if we are to judge her, which Black Twitter is doing, I don't think it should be for her cheating, but just not, controlling the situation, her being in that position of power. But what's up?
Yeah, I think that I'm with you on the it's good to see them come out and just be real about it, right? Because like they were saying in the actual like show, it was owed to them. Like we've already passed that. It really wasn't nobody's business. It's private business, right? Like it's just so they don't owe anybody an explanation for any of this. So for them to even come out and actually say it, which was cool. It was cool. It was cool for them to come out and be like, "Yo, this is exactly what happened." It's sad that the situation is bringing back up, especially because that's like imagine if an ex from 4 years ago was talking about you on Stop It Show, you'd be like, why? Like I guess like so now you got to come out and address it. That's kind of what happened with them. Just because they celebrities don't make it no different. If you put that situation into everyday living person, like which is they are too, but just like a person that's not in the media. Imagine if your ex was talking about you 4 or 5 years ago. Your ex from 4 or 5 years ago was just talking about you on some type of platform on Facebook or something like that, on their Instagram or something like that. You'd be like, this is weird. Like, like why now? Like I have nothing that we haven't talked in years. I thought we was good. We closed that out. But so I don't really like take anything really away from it from them. Like I see a lot of people saying a lot of things. Like J. Cole had the line where he wanted that Jaden Will love. People were like, "Well, I don't want that no more." The memes are funnier than anything. Like 100%, the memes funnier than anything. But in real life, though, like people go through shit, bro. They've been married for 25 years. Like they've been married for 25 years. Like people go through shit, bro. Like people, whatever you want to say, whether it was cheating or not cheating, people go through shit, bro. And they had the love to stand together and actually work through it and get through that actual situation and still together to this day. So I think we should be applauding that personally. I think we should applaud. We got people that's married for 1 year and divorced after because you left the fridge open. Like, you know what I mean? Like we got people that, like we got really weak relationships out here. Like we got people parents been divorced for years. Moms and dads been married 7 or 4 times. Like people our age been married 2 to 3 times. Like we got people that's actually really out here doing it for 25 years straight and they actually fighting through the adversity. Like that's what marriage is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be to death do you part. No matter what happens in between that process, like you're supposed to be able to fight and keep going on throughout those processes. So if you can't do that, that's fine. But I'm not going to make fun of people that actually are doing it. Like no matter what their situation was a little bit different. It's a little bit more public because they obviously like celebrities, but that's just all part of it, bro. That's all part of being a celebrity. That's all part of having a marriage. I applaud them for actually powering through that and then coming out and being able to be mature enough to actually come in through the end and be like, this is what happened, bro. Like, fuck it. Like, this is what happened. Y'all want to know so bad? This is what happened. So,
yeah,
that's what
I agree. I think, especially in the Black community, like you don't really see, like you said, you don't really see too many marriages work out. So when you have a famous couple like a Barack and Michelle, when you have a Will and Jada, like you, even for Bobby and Whitney was like an example for a long time. It's like, bro, we want to see Black love win, So for them to be that open and honest, and for them to be an example for Black love, this is just showing another layer of that, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. But I also believe that this is just a genius business move. Like you said, they broke the record for most Facebook original shows viewed in the first 24 hours, and it had 15 million views in the first 24 hours, and that almost doubled the previous record, which was the Red Table Talk again when she had Jordan Woods on the show. So I think this is how you capitalize on the situation. Like, all right, bet. Like people say, like all press is good press, even if it's bad. But like I think they handled it with grace. They was open about it. They was honest about it. They was real about it, and then they capitalized on it. So I think this is just them laying the blueprint for a different layer of life, or a different layer of marriage, and a different layer of business.
Agreed. Yeah, man. I don't really got much more to say on it. I just think that's I think we should be applauding that. And I think it's funny because just in social media, just in general, we make fun of everything. So the memes have been hilarious. But
all I want to say is, I'm saying, your boy is single. Any ladies out there looking to do some healing, I am ready to get entangled.
I need to get healed. I need to get that Jada healing session, dog. Whatever she did to August, I want that. I want that. So yeah. I want that. That's the type of healing I need. Bro.
Who's next? Go.
You see me where it was like, I don't know what was going on, but it was like some type of ambulance, and there was pulling up on somebody. They was like, this is like this is the hill in that Jada into August, and it was like a girl, but she was just like touching his dick. It was so weird, bro. Like she was like but it was a real ambulance. Like she was touching.
Bro, we got two different algorithms, dog. We got two different.
No, I'm about to see you that shit, bro. I'm about to see you that shit, bro. That shit was funny, dog.
Oh man,
It's been a lot of funny ones, but that was stuck out there. I'm like, what the fuck is this situation even happening right now? What the fuck is even going on? All right, man. But yeah, that's all we got on them, bro. You wanna open up the next subject?
All right, what we talking about? Deshaun Jackson? Or we talking about?
Yeah.
All right, so got to talk about the home team, especially, me being from Philly, me being an Eagles fan. So for those who don't know, Deshaun Jackson recently posted a fake quote on his IG story that basically quoted Adolf Hitler saying that, and excuse my language for those who might find this offensive, but in summary, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but in summary, it's just basically saying that white Jews' plan for world domination is to hide the fact that Negroes are the children of Israel, and white citizens are mistreating black people in America, basically discriminating against them, lynching them, and they fear that they will be harmed by God, they'll be destroyed by God, because the same situation, if we're talking about in biblical terms, happened in Egypt. So Deshaun Jackson basically posted that to his IG story, and many people came out to criticize Deshaun Jackson, one, because it directly quoted Hitler. And those comments were deemed as anti-Semitic because that seems to be the running narrative for anti-Semitic rhetoric that just says that Jews, so to speak, are trying to control the world. And that's kind of like been used as a justification to persecute them in the past. And people from the Eagles front office came out to condemn him. Them being a Jewish, Stephen A. Smith came out to condemn him, and fellow NFL receiver Julian Edelman came out to say that I'm willing to educate you. I'm willing to go to the Holocaust Museum, and I'm willing to go to a African American history museum so we can both know each other's heritage and that we can have a difficult conversation after that. Some people also came out to defend him, such as Stephen Jackson, who doubled down on that sentiment, saying that Deshaun's intent was to educate the masses on what black people are going through in this current scenario. So we just wanted to have a conversation about, this whole situation because it is such a nuanced conversation, but I think it's really reflective of what's going on when we're talking about race and society today.
Yeah, I think so since then they both came out and apologized, right? Stephen Jackson as well as Deshaun Jackson. Players like Malcolm Jenkins actually spoke out against it, like you said, Julian Edelman. So we had people on both sides of the fence kind of talking about this topic. My views is that I don't really understand the point of it all. Like from Deshaun Jackson point, like there's a lot of, again, with like the no name, like her whole little track to J. Cole just comes out more and more to me every day. Because out of all the things going on, why bring this? Why bring this type of thing that's more hate into this type of topic? That's not what we need. Like that's not the type of conversation we need to have, which is Stephen A. Jackson point. Stephen A. Smith, excuse me, that was his point, was like, yo, we don't really need to be talking about this right now. Like this is a distraction more than anything. You guys are hurting your cause by actually doing this, by actually coming out and saying this, and Stephen Jackson by actually coming out, being one of the people that's been in the forefront of all this whole topic, to actually come out and support this. You are actually hurting your cause by doing this, because there's no point for this. Because now you can see it as soon as it came out. Even me, when I first seen it, because I followed Deshaun Jackson, I'm like, he's gonna come out and apologize for this. He's gonna have to come back and clean this up, because it's ridiculous. We don't need to be talking about this right now. Like, so for Stephen Jackson come on and be like, I understand what he's saying because I really support Stephen Jackson. Like, I really support what he does and what he's been saying. And everybody makes mistakes, right? Like, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody says some of the wrong things, especially in the midst of all this. There was a Colin Kaepernick thing. He was wearing the socks with the pigs, with the police hats on. There's a lot of people that come out and in the midst of something good, they mess up and they go a little bit too far. I think that's all this is. A little bit of a reach. They were reaching a little bit to try to figure out like what exactly to say, and Deshaun Jackson actually did it. Stephen Jackson came out like, yo, that's my man. I don't care what's going on. I'm gonna support him. I can I can fall in line with that. King come out and say some bullshit. I might come out and be like, first, like, nah, fuck what y'all talking about. That's my dog. I support him. So, like, so I can understand why he would come out and support his man. That's real. But in the grand scheme of things, it just seems a little bit tone deaf. Like we got on Drew Brees about being tone deaf, and we have to condemn Deshaun Jackson as well from being tone deaf for this situation, because you bringing people into this situation, bringing they hate that they actually went through, that the situation they actually been through, pointing it back at them and saying y'all wrong for this, and it doesn't make sense, right? It's just like it's hypocritical to say the least to actually bring this up and try to use this as a platform to further the Black community's cause right now. I don't think that that's the best way to do it. Obviously, they didn't think that's the best way to do it. That's why they came out and apologized for it, and this is where we're at now.
Yeah. So gotta.
It's your man's.
I hate to do this, bro.
It's your man's.
And I don't mean to gaslight you, but this is what Terry Crews was talking about, bro. This is what Terry Crews was talking.
I thought you might. I didn't know if you would, but I thought you might.
This is the type of, this is what the issue is. You know what I mean? And I think that this is a result of misinformation, identity politics, and then confirmation bias. You know, again, this isn't to condemn Deshaun Jackson as a man. This, I think, needs to happen. People need to be forgiven, but also we need to take these moments and use them as teachable moments. You know what I mean? So this is why I'm big on, let's not cancel the person, but let's learn from the situation so that we don't make the same mistake again. Because I think ultimately this shows us what could go wrong if we just keep going down the same path blindly. Because I think that what happened is, what he did was he saw an excerpt that he agreed with and didn't really do the proper research to see where it was coming from or what was the context in which that was said, to the point where he posted the original excerpt of the quote. And then it was just like a highlighted portion, but outside of the highlighted portion, that was where the real anti-Semitic rhetoric came in, when it began with Hitler said. Anytime you're quoting Hitler, like, bro, that's not going to hurt you.
Yeah,
that's not going to help your cause.
I had to disagree. Yeah.
That's not a source that I want to be citing when I'm talking about equality, if I'm talking about justice. You know what I mean? And then at the bottom, it talked about like Hitler they want to start World War III based off this information. It's like, bro, you got to read all of that. You can't just focus in on the highlighted portion. You can't just get that tunnel vision, because you got to understand in totality, a lot more is going on. So I think that when we're talking about these issues, especially in the Black community, we got to understand that these issues are complex. There is no simple answer. There is no like, this is the fix to what's going on in America right now. It's so nuanced. It's so complex that we can't just paint people with a broad like paintbrush. Like, okay, all white people are evil, or all white people are oppressors. And it's like, that's kind of the warning in which Terry Crews was saying. And I think that's kind of what led to this post being put up by Deshaun Jackson, because he said that he'd been listening to Louis Farrakhan like for a couple of days before that. And Louis Farrakhan, no matter how great people think he is, he's been saying a lot of hateful things toward the Jewish community. So you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt and say, like, okay, he could say a truth here, but you got to be mindful of his effects on other people. Because when we start to play these identity politics games, and we start to play the oppression Olympics, we start to think that, oh, Black people are the only one that's going through something in this world. And it's like, no, bro, like, a lot more people are going through oppression as well. A lot more people have seen the same worse, better circumstances than us. And we got to be mindful of that when we're talking about this issue in a productive manner. We can't just say the world is white and black. White is the oppressor and Black is the victim, and then we just deserve this, that, and the third, because that's a very ignorant way to go about a complex issue that needs the attention. And once people come in with misinformation, and once people come in and make these type of mistakes, it takes away from the progress that we've been making in this issue, and it takes away from the validity of this argument, to where people who have been paying attention, when they see an instance like this, they may not be able to put their resources, they may not be able to support a movement that has these type of things going on. So I think that this information should be a springboard for us to see, to say, okay, what causes a little bit of misinformation? Okay, us not taking a quote and checking our sources, because even the quote itself was tied back to a book that misquoted, you know what I mean, this take everything out of context. So it's like we have to be mindful of the information that we're taking in. We have to be mindful of the information that we're spreading out, and we have to hold people accountable when it comes to this matter.
Which I think he was, which is what the good part of this was. I think that he was held accountable. I think that Steven Jackson was held accountable. I think they all got their fair share of backlash. But again, we just got to read the whole story before we like kind of go off on a tangent about it. We just got to kind of read the whole story. Which again, nobody's perfect. I do it all the time. I'll read a headline or I'll read half a story and be like, all right, bet this is the move. This is what I think about it. Which if I was doing the best job that I could, I'd read that side. I'd read the other side of the story. I'd read all I could, because if you really, what I thought was interesting is when I searched up this story, the first like 5 links that I actually seen was the same thing what I was talking about with Eminem. It was telling me how I should feel about the comments. It wasn't actually stating the comments, which I thought was weird, because that's what I was trying to find, was another link to what actually was said, the full like statement. But it was hard to find that. I had to actually continue to look to actually see what the whole story was and find that, hey, this was a misquote from another misquote. Like, this is not even like this. Yeah, this whole thing was trash. But the first like few stories was like, you should feel angry about what this said. You should think that this. You should feel this way. You should do this. It's like, I'm in a place where I don't have to read that and just immediately feel like they telling me to feel. But I know there's people in America that's feeling like, oh, this source from CNN or Fox is telling me that I should feel this way. This is how I feel. So you got to be smart enough to look at that type of stuff, because surely that's what Deshaun Jackson got caught in. Somebody, he was listening to Farrakhan, or he was listening to whoever he wanted to, or he was reading whatever he wanted to. He seen part of the story, and the story was telling him that he should feel this way. He felt strongly about that, and so that he made that post, which was obviously regrettable. Like, obviously regrettable in the end. So just read the whole story. Don't read just one part of the story. Don't read half of the story. Don't read just one side of the story. Read the whole story. Find out exactly what you're about to release, and then go out there and release it, man. That's the best advice I can give you.
I concur.
Okay, move it on. Move it on.
No, I went on a tangent. I didn't want to take too much time. Like, I felt like
no, you good. We good.
I was giving a goddamn campaign speech right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I was running with my dog Kanye for the birthday party. You know what I'm talking about? Get on the ballot.
I hope you've been checking on Kanye lately. I hope you've been checking on him. Jesus, man.
Yeezus. All right. Yeezus.
All right, so Young Thug versus Pusha T. We got to talk about. We gonna talk about real quick. It's really not much that I can say on this topic, but I'll go ahead and explain it as briefly as I can. But so basically, there's an unreleased song from Pop Smoke album that basically had a diss from Pusha T to Drake. And some people, when you read the actual lyrics, I'll let y'all listen to it and read and see it, like how much of a diss it was. From Pusha T's side of it, he says that it wasn't really, nobody knew it was a diss until Drake told basically some executives that, hey, this was a diss. Young Thug point of view was like, hey, don't do this on Pop Smoke album. Like, this is not the place, nor should you have been doing that with me. Had I known that you were doing that to a friend of mine, then I wouldn't have been on the song, or I would have asked for changes for me and Gunna in place of me and Gunna, because Gunna is a fan of Drake as well and has done songs with him as well. So even though y'all have beef, don't do a song that's diss him with me on there, or especially not on Pop Smoke album, because you're taking away from that. That was Young Thug point of view. Pusha T point of view was more of like, hey, for one, I don't give a fuck what you think. That's kind of how Pusha T was coming out with it. Like, I don't need your respect. I don't need your clearance. I don't need none of that. Like, fuck all that. Drake a snitch, basically. And go ahead and take me off the album. I'm cool with that, because it was technically unreleased, but it was leaked, which is kind of 90% of music nowadays. But it was leaked, and so that's kind of where we at right now. Pusha T came out with a string of tweets. I'm not going to read them verbatim. Young Thug came out with a string of tweets as well as a video where he said that the verse was 7 days, meaning that it's week. So,
Got him! Got him!
His verse was 7 days. So, oh man, so yeah, How you feel about that 7-day
Eminem
verse,
could
man?
never. Eminem could never mess with that wordplay, bro.
How you feel about that 7-day verse, man?
I thought the verse was hard, low key. I thought that what he was saying, it was relevant. Obviously, it was a diss to Drake because he referenced like when he went to perform in Toronto, and then they stormed the stage, and then they bought out all them empty seats to make it seem like nobody, wanted to go to his show. And he referenced buying a house in Canada. I think that both sides have a good argument. You know what I mean? As Young Thug, like, you're not about to disrespect the homie, like when I'm on the song. You know what I mean? So I think this reminds me of a situation back in the Carter 4 when Lil Wayne had the song with Drake and Jadakiss called "It's Good," where he actually dissed Jay-Z. Where he talking about baby money. I got your baby money. Kidnap your bitch, get that. How much you love your lady money. Like, and Jadakiss was on the song. And then after it came out, Jadakiss was like, yo, bro, I got nothing to do with that, dog.
Yeah.
Jadakiss was signed to Def Jam by Jay-Z and was being managed by him. So he was like, hey, bro, I got nothing to do with that. Keep me out of it. I just wanted to do a song with Wayne. I wanted to get on the Carter. That ain't got nothing to do with me. So this isn't this thing happens in hip hop. You know what I mean? But for a Young Thug to come up and stick up for the homie, like, hey, bro, don't be doing that with me on the track. Like, yo, that's not cool. But I respect that. But then once you start saying like all this rapper shit gay, then it's like, all right, now you opening that door. And then when Pusha T respond like, bro, first of all, I don't want or need your respect of what I bring to the rap game. And then 2, you only on this song because I asked to put you on this song. And then it's like, that's where it gets like petty, but I think both of them did what they were supposed to do. Pusha said what he had to say. And I think it's kind of ironic that all his verses on major albums, like the same thing happened on the Rick Ross album when he was supposed to be on a song with Wayne and supposedly he was dissing Drake, and that never got released. And now he got on the Pop Smoke album and then it didn't get released because of a quote unquote glitch. You know what I mean? It kind of gives some validity to his argument that, maybe somebody behind the scenes is pulling the strings. So I don't really take a side in it. I think both got good arguments, but, maybe IG isn't the best place to air out these grievances, as, Martin Luther Meek has pointed out in the past.
All right. So I feel like, I feel like going forward for this, but I feel like I see both sides even going forward though, right? So we saying like, for one, if I'm just a fan or anything like this needs to be done. Like this just dead this whole beef. Nobody's listening. Nobody's worried about listening to this. And more important things to be talking about right now. We don't need Pusha T and Drake beef. It's over with. If I'm on Drake's side, I understand what if he's actually doing that. Like, we don't have any proof that says he does. Whether you believe that he was kind of getting these songs shut down or not, that's on you. But let's just go with the case in case that he was. If I had the power to do that, that's a flex. If I got the power to go to your company and get your verses shut down on albums, that's a flex to me. If I'm Pusha T on Pusha T side, like if I'm trying to beat a dead horse and continue to throw shots at you, then that's what I'm on. Like I'll have no problem with that in the rap game either. Like either one of those sides, I can understand both of them. Pusha T for beating a dead horse, Drake for saying, "Nah, I'm not even about to let you get your shit off." Like I got so much power within the rap game that I'm not even gonna let you get your shit off. That's a flex to me. Like beating a dead horse after I've already beat you, after I already feel like I beat your ass in this, like lyrically, that's a flex to me. To me, I feel like Drake feels like Pusha T and him shouldn't even be in the same sentence. Now that's for you to discuss, but to me, it feels like Drake saying like, I don't even feel like I should be in the same sentence as this dude. So him continue to miss my name, like I'm gonna just dead that right now. So we ain't even gonna have to address it because it's never gonna come out anyway. That's kind of where we at. That's kind of where we at with Drake doing. That's kind of where we at with Pusha T side. That's what he's doing. But in my opinion, like just I don't know why. I don't know why. Like just leave it alone. Because if you really think about this shit been going on for since 2014. I don't know when. I think it was Two Birds, One Stone was what really started all this, right?
Well, Pusha T been beefing with Lil Wayne since for a long time,
forever.
Since me too. Yeah,
right. So, I'm with Pusha T. Like he a real nigga. Like if he's basically saying like, if we enemies, bro, we always gonna be enemies. Like I'm not letting off the gas, which is cool, but it also comes off a little bit kind of lame to me. Like, kind of could just let it go. You got the win, but again, I'm not condemning him for continuing to throw shots. You know what I mean? The shots were so light though. The shots was like,
Yeah, like if you didn't
It was
look
light.
into it, like if it wasn't a big thing, like I would just like, bro, it's just it's a good song. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's just a
I think
song.
overall the song was good.
it was a good
But
song.
yeah,
It was a good song. It was a good song. But Drake's been known to dish you on somebody else's track too, though.
that's kind of his claim to fame. Like
Yeah.
when Drake do it, it's like, oh,
But he's
he
huge though.
did it. But that's the thing. Like you can't play both sides. You can't be hyped
Right.
because Drake do it and then shut it down when Pusha try to do it and then be like, oh well, you need to let it go. But when then Drake come through
Yeah.
and he beating the dead horses, oh
Yeah.
Drake still got
Right.
it. Like, nah, bro.
Which is what I can say. I can see both sides of that argument. Is like Drake do it when audiences at it, but that's Drake is huge, right? Drake wouldn't really need to do that. Pusha T, people are saying like, well, Pusha T actually needed this added audience to make this be a big deal. That's what Young Thug was saying. Like you needed this to be on Pop Smoke album, so it would be a big deal. You can argue that yourself, but I'm just saying I can see both sides of why people would say that.
Well, the song called Paranoid, and he's talking about the situation. Like, I'm not paranoid, you know what I mean? Because you sending empty threats and then people rushing the stage, but you don't know I got the blade. Like, it was pertinent to the situation, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Surely.
I
Sure.
just, I think, it's not as, I don't think I'm gonna take a side,
Nah.
but I don't think,
If they went for round 2, who will win?
round 2, I think Drake might win.
Because Pusha T ain't got that ammo no more, I don't think.
I don't know, man. He said surgical summer. He was ready to do it all summer. So, like, who knows what else, bro? He gonna come through and be like, hey, bro, Drake, I know that you got fake abs.
You gay.
You got your body done.
Right. Like, he would have to come through, but that's the thing. That's what Pusha T claim to fame was with this beef, was that he had that in the clip. Had he not had it in the clip, what would have happened?
It's like a fight, bro. It's like you gonna go with the person that's willing to break all the rules and to knock you out, or you gonna go with somebody that's gonna play within the guidelines and jab. Like Pusha T, like, bro, I'm gonna headbutt you, I'm gonna stomp your feet, I'm gonna kick you in the nuts, and then once you get down, I'm gonna beat your ass. So it's
But he gotta have something to come out with, though. He gotta have something, though. If he don't have that, then I don't really know how. Because Pusha T, even with that tweet, you can tell Pusha T is trying to hold Drake to a street standard. Pusha T is saying like, oh, if you already telling execs this and that, Lord knows you would tell the police. It's like, you can tell, Drake fans don't care about that. They nobody's holding Drake to that standard. That's the same thing y'all try to do with Tekashi 6ix9ine. Y'all trying to hold him to that standard. Like, for one, I don't think that Drake would ever be in a position. He's too smart to even be in a position to have to be able to snitch on anybody. So I'm not saying that he would tell him to the police, but I'm just saying
you gonna tell on mans in them.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he's gonna be in a position to tell on mans in them. You know what I mean? Like, tell on mans, you know what I mean? He don't really play no tic-tac-toe, like you said. He don't really play no tic-tac-toe, But that's no here or there. I'm just saying, like, if they were to go at it again, I feel like Drake would be in a way better position now than he was then. Which then would be dangerous for Pusha T.
Pusha T gonna benefit anyway just because he gonna get the look. So it's like, all right, bro, if it ain't broke.
What do you do in that situation? You the bigger rapper, somebody keep pecking at you.
But it's the thing though, it's like it's only a big deal because he's making it a big deal. Like if the song would have just came out and he don't respond to it, it's not that big of a deal. But because he going behind the scenes and getting this stuff done, it's like it's showing that I'm really affecting you. And now I don't think this is Pusha T playing to the crowd. This is Pusha T really like, bro, like I don't care if I sell the records. Like I've been doing this. Like I got my money. I got sneaker deals. I'm a president of a company. I'm trying to attack you as a man. And I think in that point, he's winning because he got under Drake's skin. He really got him agitated to where like Drake still felt the way about it during his interview, like the top of the year. So it's like, if you talk about the battle, you're talking about the war. Pusha T is winning the battle. He won the battle and it's looking like he's winning the war because he's getting under Drake's skin. And I think that's the whole purpose of it, to show like, I don't care who you are. You could be number one. Hey, bro, like you don't want it with me because I'm willing to take it to another level.
Okay, so where are you at this point then? If you was in Drake's shoes, so you already got the song shut out. Everybody found out that you got the song shut out, so you look real bothered right now. What do you do?
All right, bro, you got killing with success.
Which he clearly has. That if we talking that, that's not even that's not even. But who am I?
Well, according to the video, it says your name is Kevin Wren, so we got that part figured out.
I got my government. No, I'm just kidding. I got my government. All right, you want to go ahead and talk about the last topic?
Yeah, so on this last topic, so there is a viral video going around, but we'll basically explain it. Hopefully, one of us will put the clip in here. But on 6 July,
don't get on his neck now. Just tase him.
Get off his neck, bro. Fuck all that shit.
I'm on his back. I'm on his back.
All right, we got you.
I'm just saying, man.
Right here.
We got you.
All right, yo.
Y'all want to help out?
Nah, we just nah.
Just get off his back. I'm just saying.
We just
Help us out.
you need some help?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, though, bro. Just get off.
He lying.
The sooner we cuff him, the sooner we can get him up. Stay still. Hey, I'm not
Yeah, get help.
Stay still. Hey, don't do all that resistance, bro. Chill out.
Just chill out, man. They gonna put the handcuffs on you.
Don't do all the resistance.
They go the handcuffs right there. Get the handcuffs right there.
We can't get that on.
Yeah, you don't want to give us his arm, man. Hey, give me your arm, bro. Give me your say, home. Give me your arm, bro. Give me your arm.
Give me your arm, man.
Make it easy for yourself, man. Just give me your arm.
Look, man, record this. I'm gonna get his arm so they won't hurt him. Record this. I'm gonna get his arm. Look, I'm gonna get his arm. We got a knife on. Do we got a knife on?
We haven't found him,
All right, come on, give me your arm, bro. I just don't want you to get hurt. I just don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah, baby.
Come on, yeah, grab his arm. I don't want you to get hurt, man. I don't want you to get hurt, bro.
Come to him. Let him move, man.
I just don't want him to get hurt. Thanks, guys.
Hold on. Got it? Yeah. Roll him over.
Yeah, roll him over.
Come on. Okay, here you come to top, man. Hey, come here. Sit up, man. Sit up. There you go.
My t-shirt broke off.
So you're fine.
We're getting 37 days.
July 6, 2020, officers were attempting to arrest a black man. I'll refer to that black man as a suspect just for the ease of the situation. But basically, they were attempting to arrest the suspect, and he had a knife on him, reportedly. A struggle was ensued, and then somehow the police officers got the suspect on the ground, but they weren't able to actually put him in cuffs. So some people walked up on him, basically recording the situation, and then it started with them saying, "Hey, like, don't put your knee on his neck." And then the cop was like, "Hey, I don't have my knee on his neck. I got my knee on his back. Like, I'm not doing all that. I'm just trying to put him in cuffs." And then the guy was like, "All right, I'm just making sure you don't got the knee on his neck. Like, we won't want anything to happen to him." And he's like, "Hey, do y'all want to help me?" And then basically the gentleman walked over. One of them got on the ground and got eye level with the suspect and was telling him like, "Hey, bro, just comply. Like, we don't want anything to happen to you." And then the gentleman by the name of, I think I'm saying his name right, but Uralic Fields, he walked up to him and basically said, "Hey, does he have a knife on him?" And then I guess it was communicated that the suspect didn't have any knife on him. So he basically grabbed his arm, the suspect's arm, and was like, "Hey, bro, I don't want nothing to happen to you. Like, here, just give me your arm, bro. Like, I don't want nothing to happen to you. Just let him cuff you, and it'll be straight from here. I don't want anything to happen." So Mr. Fields grabbed his arm, helped the cop actually cuff him. And then from his hand, once he grabbed the suspect's hand, his hand was bleeding. So maybe he did have a knife on him at some point. But once he got his arm, the police got his other arm, and they were able to diffuse, de-escalate, and apprehend the suspect. So we want to talk about that interaction. You know, I think that this is a lot of people, including the mayor, the police chief, said that this should be a video to kind of as a lesson to society of how police interactions can go, how civilians can intervene in situations like this. But we kind of want to give our thoughts on that unique situation, especially during these times when we're talking about police brutality and police interactions with the Black community.
Yeah, so I think we both agree that this was a great interaction. Correct?
I have my criticisms.
Okay, because I got some criticisms, but I want to address them. But overall, I feel like it was a good interaction. I think that at that point, it was the community was stepping in to intervene, but it wasn't like aggressively, right? Like, so I think that's kind of when we gotta like check ourselves and when we go into situations and actually making them worse. I think I had that that same criticism for Young and May when she addressed some type of cops that were pulling over somebody, and it was just a simple traffic stop. And Young and May and like several other people were over there, and they were just yelling and screaming at the cop, and it just made it a little bit more than it actually had to be, especially for a simple traffic stop. For this situation, the community came over, trying to make sure that the gentleman was safe, saying like, "Hey, don't put his knee on his neck." The cop surely showed that, "Hey, I'm just putting my knee on his back, just to contain him. I just need his hands. That's all I need. If you guys come help me calm him down, give me his hands. That's all he had to. That's all we got to do." All he said was, "Hey, do you want to help?" He didn't say, "I need your help." He said, "Do you want to help? If you want to be involved in this, then come on and be involved in that. That's cool. Just do it in a safe manner. We're all good." So the cop took on the risk of having 3 other men come in and intervene in that situation. So I applaud him for that, because he didn't have to, right? Because he could have just been like, he could have did what every other cop do when we seen these type of situations, was just stay back. A lot of other cops say you just stay back. Like, "Hey, I don't need anybody else intervene in these situations." He's saying, "Hey, I trust y'all in the community enough to come in here, intervene, help us out with this." And they did. He came in, he got level with the guy. He told him like, "Hey, like, we can get past this. Like, your day to argue is in court." I think that's what we need to start thinking about is, hey, our day to argue is in court. Whenever anybody, and that's just not the black community, that's anybody. Like, if you were being arrested, your day to argue that arrest is in court. It's not at the time. You're not going to talk yourself out of an arrest at that point. If you're already getting hassled onto the ground and having handcuffs put on you, you're not going to get yourself arguing out of that point, out of that arrest. You're going to be arrested, whether you get a ticket or get taken down to the court, taken down to the jail. That's depending on the crime. But your day to argue is in court, and you have that day in court. You need to make sure that you show up to that day prepared and ready to go for that argument. But while you there, while, like I said, the man lying on the ground screaming, "He's lying, he's doing this, he's lying, they're doing this," that's fine. But right now is not the time for that. So that's what the gentleman, which is, let me say his name, I got it right here, Ulrich Fields. He actually laid on the ground next to the man and just told him, "Hey, like stop all this resistance. Like, just chill out. We all here. We can all see. We're recording. Feel safe. Like, it's all good. We're not gonna let you get hurt." Which is when he actually calmed down, gave him his hands, things of that nature. So I think that we need to more combine as the police in the community into having situations like this. I don't think it always has to go like this, because I feel like the police should be a part of the community, which is kind of the problem. I feel like is that the cops, it feels like the cops are kind of not a part of the community right now. Like, they stand above the community, which just seems like an issue. But overall, I feel like this is a great interaction. I have a few criticism. I'll let you get yours off first, but we might have the same ones, so I'll let you get yours off first. But overall, I don't see the big issue. I know there's a lot of mixed criticisms coming from this, but mixed views, I should say. But overall, I see a good interaction. Nobody got hurt. We had a community and the police officers working together, which is what we need more of. That's a win to me.
Yeah, I think when we talked about this on an earlier podcast, when I said like we need a defensive strategy, this is kind of like a proof of concept. When I talked about we need somebody there, if you are to be involved with an officer, you need somebody there to record the interaction, and you need to have a person that's willing to step in if you see the interaction is going left, or some type of de-escalation needs to be applied. And I think this kind of why I said what I need to say, because one, you had somebody there recording the whole situation. So if you need evidence to corroborate what you're there to do, you had that. Then you had somebody willing to step up, approach the officer, confront him, don't put your knee on his neck, I don't want to see anything happen, and then able to intervene to actually help de-escalate the situation. So this is kind of a proof of concept of what I was talking about earlier about why we need to travel in packs, so that situations like this can be de-escalated by somebody with us. So I applaud Mr. Fields and the officers for being able to work together and de-escalate the situation. However, I do think that you need to be mindful that there were multiple cops there. There wasn't just one-on-one, like one cop with a person there. So the fact that they weren't able to neutralize, de-escalate, and arrest that person by themselves worries me about their training. That worries me about their capacity to handle that type of situation. And if they're not properly equipped to handle these situations, I think that's what ultimately leads to the escalation, the chokeholds, the knee on the necks, the shootings of unarmed black men. So that right there alarmed me that they weren't able to. And he wasn't a big guy, you know what I mean? Like it looked like a pretty small guy that you should be able to grab his arms and put him in cuffs. So uh, that that alarmed me that they weren't capable of doing that. Secondly, the fact, like I said before, there was reportedly like the person had a knife. And even when Mr. Fields walked up to the situation, he was asking him like, "Hey, before I grab his arms, does he have a knife? Like, let me know, does he have a knife? Yes or no?" So if that person did have a knife and you're inviting two more people over to the situation and that person does have a weapon, not only are you still at danger, but now you're putting civilians in danger. Now you're putting bystanders that had nothing to do with the situation. Now you're putting them at risk to be hurt when they have nothing to do with the situation. So that I kind of think, I don't think that this should be a precedent going forward because yes, this worked out fine. Yes, they were able to de-escalate it, but say if they were on some type of drugs where they were hallucinating or they're just aggressive, why bring more people that aren't trained to or they're not trained or not equipped to handle this type of violence, this type of interaction, and put them in danger because you can't do your job? So that to me is a big criticism I have, and I think that officers should be able to diffuse these situations without the help of different citizens.
Yeah, I have the exact same criticism. So I feel the same way. If you can't de-escalate a situation, which is your job, then maybe you shouldn't be on the force, right? Which is kind of what the situation we've been talking about lately. But also have the criticism of people that are saying like, "Hey, we need to get rid of cops completely," which is speaks a little bit to your second point, which is it's a dangerous job, right? Like if you saying that we all need to just be out here policing ourselves, is that really a feasible goal? Like, is it a feasible goal for us to say, like, if I see, because how many times, especially in the black community, which we go into, which is mind your business, right? We go into mind your business, like walk past shit when you see it happening. Walk, don't worry about it. It's not your business. Don't call nobody. Don't say nothing. Don't tell nobody. That's just kind of what we do, right? Like we just mind our own business. So if we don't have any cops, right, and these crimes are going on in the communities, these drugs, somebody hitting up a robbery, things of that nature, things a lot of the time that's against another black person. Like who are we to say that we have to sit and mind our own business, right? At some point, if we didn't have cops, we'd all have to intervene. So if we really want to, and I'm not saying this is exactly what defund the police is about. I'm just saying I see a lot of people on the comments just saying this, which is like, hey, this is why we don't need cops at all because they can't do their job. It's like, no, I think we really need to empower cops a little bit more so they feel a little bit more comfortable doing their job. It's not an easy job to do, right? It's not an easy job to. I don't know how it. Like I said, the dude was small. Surely they should have been able to detain him without help of four other people. Surely, like you would like to think that. But again, maybe their training is up to par for that, which is another. That's the problem that we need to address. But again, overall, which I can only judge the outcome, right? Because we can judge what might have happened, had something dangerous, had something actually happened, but I can only really judge the outcome, and the outcome was positive. The outcome was overwhelmingly positive. No one got hurt. The man was taken into custody. Whether he had his day, when he gets his day of court, have his day of court and everything like that. But I say shout out to the cop because he brought people in that he didn't have to. He didn't have to. He brought a set of people in, another set of hands, another set of people that was more that looked like the suspect that made sure they calmed him down. Could have went wrong, absolutely, but that my criticism is kind of quelled because I've seen the outcome of it. I don't think this is, like you said, I don't think this should be something that we should be doing going forward because I don't think that everybody in the community, not even just our community, but just in America, is as calm and as well thought out as Mr. Fields was in this situation. But it's something to look at least. It's something to look at. We as a community and the cops have to come together. The cops have got to come a part of the community. There's always going to be some type of resentment for somebody that's in your mind is there just to take you to jail. But if we can get back together as to where, like you said, we need more cops that we know. We need more people that's in the community because we see good police interactions. We see cops where they racing kids down the street, they playing basketball with the kids, they doing stuff within the community to build that type of relationship. We just need more of that. That's all I'm saying. We just need more of that, so it's not so much of a divide between the police and the community. That's all I'm saying. So this to me is a bridging the gap a bit, whether it's a first step or not, whether it's perfect, it's not, but just something to think about going forward.
Yeah, I don't mean to be negative. Like I said, I do commend both the officer and the bystanders for intervening. It's just got to be mindful of we can't think in broad terms. We got to be specific, because I think that's what led to Deshaun Jackson, being misinformed. And I think that we need to address each situation by situation. Like, yes, it worked out this time, but let's not get carried away and think that this is the precedent because, like you said, there are too many variables going on with this type of situation. So I think, again, this is a teachable moment. This is one that we need to commend those involved and just shout out to them for de-escalating the situation and not adding to the statistic of police brutality.
100%. It was love, man. It made me happy to watch. I'll say that. It made me happy to watch because it was something different. It was something different than what we used to see. When I started the video, I didn't know what I was about to see. And so when I got through the video, I was like, okay, I can. But again, we didn't get to see what came on before. We didn't get to see if the dude was aggressive. There was a lot of stuff that we don't know within just that video. But based off of just what I've seen, I appreciate it. So, yeah, man. Yeah. If I ever get arrested, I need you to hop in and tell me to chill out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean?
I'm being that bitch beating your ass with him. Like, get your ass, stop resisting. Stop resisting.
I'm looking at me. No. No.
You're supposed to be helping me. No, I am. Stop resisting.
Hit the.
If you ain't getting arrested, boy, you late.
Boy, you late. Got him. I fucking have a party.
Spotting, red dotting, hiding. Fuck it, let's have a party.
Got him. Let's have a party. All right, man. Let's get into these positivity showers, though, bro. Unless you try to have a party. Let's try to have a party. All right, mine's gonna be real.
Go ahead.
All right, bro. My watching shout is actually relating to our last episode, so I'm giving mine to Ulrich Fields, man, because it's gonna be really short, but I think we need more people like him, more people that come into situations level-headed and with the mindset like he actually put in place that defensive strategy that you was talking about, right? Obviously, probably without even hearing this. I'm not saying that we give taking credit for anything like that, but he actually put into place something that we've been talking about, which is, hey, somebody is actually recording. We got somebody that's actually intervening, right? So he had his man. He wasn't recording. He actually came in, laid down with dude, said, hey, like, everything is cool, bro. Just relax. I don't want to see you get hurt. I just want to see if you have to get arrested. That's a small price to pay. That's smaller than your life right now. Like, just go ahead and give me your hands. We don't know what's going on. We just walked up, but go ahead and give me your hands. We'll help you throughout this whole process. And I'm sure. I actually was reading later on. He actually stayed through the whole process when he was getting in the car and got drove away when that man actually got arrested. So he actually helped that situation a lot more than what we've seen a lot of other people doing. Right. I talked about the young MA earlier in the podcast. We don't need you to come into the situation yelling and screaming, actually riling up cops more than they even need to be. Right. Cops are already on edge. Right. We understand that. Do I think it's right? That's not the point. The point is the reality of it is that they're already on edge. We don't need to come into situations actually breeding more hate, bringing more energy, we need that energy to be down. So even if I understand it's their job. I understand it's their job to de-escalate the situation. That doesn't mean that you don't have to play a part. If you're playing a part into escalate a situation rather than de-escalating the situation, then you're in the wrong. Mr. Fields instead was in that situation simply to make sure somebody didn't get hurt. Not just somebody, not just him, but everybody involved. Nobody in here needs to get hurt. I'm going to make sure that I come into the situation, intervene, and nobody will get hurt. That's the best way to do it. So shout out to Mr. Fields. That's my positive shout out. This is Houston, too, by the way. Houston.
Yeah. So I wanted to shout out Lloyd Pierce, Tony Wrestler, Steve Koonin, and the entire Atlantic Hawk organization. So basically, their arena, the State Farm Arena, which houses all of their basketball games will now be converted into America's largest polling location. So due to COVID-19 and social distancing protocols, a lot of the polling stations in Atlanta were just overwhelmed by the polling booths having to be separated in long lines. And after the death of George Floyd, Lloyd Pierce, Tony Ressler, and Steve Koonin, which is the coach, the majority owner, and the CEO of the Atlantic Hawks, they basically came together and said, we need to do something to help the city. And because they were being overwhelmed at all the polling stations, they figured out, well, we're not using our arena. Why not turn the arena into a polling station for the city of Atlanta? So they basically put together a proposal, and the city basically said, okay, this is good. Now this arena is going to be the largest polling station in America. So I think that's dope. Not only that, just because of the precedent that they set, they'll be able to hire and pay 300 full-time faculty workers and several hundred part-time workers as well. So not only are they helping the community by providing their building, but also, giving back to the community by providing jobs to that area as well. And I'm a big believer in help how you can. You know what I mean? Everybody can't be a voice. Everybody can't be a donator. Everybody can't be a protester. Everybody can't be, on the front lines. But everybody has their own way to give into the cause. Everybody has their own gift that they can give to making this a better place. And I think that people, especially in the higher ups, people with these type of platforms, for them to actually do something and actually be part of change in the right way, I think that is dope and it's commendable. So shout out to Lloyd Pierce, Tony Ressler, and Steve Koonin, and the entire Atlantic Hawk organization for being a part of that change for the right direction.
Much love, bro. Much love. Actually, I would say that it was it's very Pulchritudinous.
So we appreciate everybody tuning in.
Hold on, bro. They come for the pod, but they stay for the language updates, bro.
I don't even trust that you said that the right way.
Bro, it's
I don't even trust that.
I wouldn't trust me either. Shout out to my sister. My sister actually sent me that because she told me that's the one. You know what I mean?
Trust that your sister spelled it right, and I think that she knows what it means. I don't trust that you said that right.
I'm looking at it right now, bro. It's Pulchritudinous.
And it is Pulchritudinous. Pulchritudinous.
I don't think anything in our English language sounds like that. I'm gonna just keep it straight up. I don't think anything in the English language sounds like what you just said out your mouth, dog.
Listen, bro. I'm telling you, why would you believe me, dog?
Yeah, bro. Jada say entanglement, and now you just trying to make a word, bro. We got the word, bro. We got entanglement,
bro. We need more. More gifts, bro. We need them. We need more gifts, bro.
We got entanglement, bro. We good. See, this is why you can't give people nothing, bro. They just give them an inch, they gonna take them out.
You gave me a mic, and this is now mic is very All right,
exactly. Look at you. Okay, once again, man, we appreciate everybody for tuning into the Who Am I podcast. Those listening, those watching, those following us on social media each and every week. We do appreciate y'all. If y'all haven't already, go ahead, give us a follow on the streaming services or give us a follow on social media at the Who Am I podcast on Instagram and Facebook, at the Who Am I pod on Twitter. Go ahead and watch us on YouTube at The Who Am I Podcast. Listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you want to be included in the episode, just let us know. You can even DM us at this point, and you can actually be a part of the video portion and the audio portion. But again, we just appreciate each and all of our listeners each week.
Never mind.
Go ahead and mute yourself. You know what you should do? Find the word, Google it, and then hit the pronunciation button and let the.
Bro, I got a whole video I'm gonna add to the list.
No, I want you to say the word right now, and I want you to type it in Google and see how different the actual pronunciation is from how you pronounce it.
I don't have to sit here for the disrespect. That's the first thing. That's
First and foremost, watch your mouth.
All right.
You know what I
I'm
can't
confident I'm saying it right.
It's
You win some. I told you about last time. You win some, you lose some, bro.
I'll put you on new words, but pronounce these sentences.
All right, bro, man. I'll holler at you, bro.
All right, man.
Goodbye, man.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, for sure.
Who am I? The girls them sugar.